Hello everyone and welcome to Fifth North. Today is going to be a fun day. So as you guys know, I recently moved to Dallas, Texas, and the neighborhood I moved into was brand new, so all the houses were being built and all that good stuff. And so when I first moved in, the house next door wasn't fully built yet, and so obviously we didn't know who our neighbors were, and you know, you're sitting there kind of waiting to find out all that good stuff. And long story short, this family moves in next door, and there's a gentleman, obviously the dad in the family, comes over, introduces himself, and we kind of start chatting for a minute, and everything seems cool. And then maybe a couple days later, he walks up to me and he goes, "Hey, wait a minute, did I see a motorcycle in your garage?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Dude, I ride too." And the rest is history. And so what's really cool is today I get to go on a ride with my neighbor, Lewis, and so pretty excited about that. He's got a sweet looking bike, which you guys will see from time to time in frame. His bike makes my bike sound silent, which is pretty sick. And anyway, so that's the little intro here. So if you do see another bike in frame, that's what it is. With that being said, though, let's talk about today's topic. So today's topic is I've just hit 500 miles on my bike. And the question is it slow, does it suck, or is it awesome? Well, let's talk about it. So as you guys know, I was trying to shake off my rust, not having ridden for so long. And it's kind of a hard question to answer in the beginning, because you're still shaking off the rust. You're not sure if you think it's a certain way, or if it's just you because you're not quite up to par like you used to be. All these different things go through your head, right? Which is why I told you guys I wasn't gonna make that initial judgment super fast, because I wanted to make sure I really gave it a fair shake. So here's what I think. Is this bike slow? No, it is not slow by any means. Is it a super sport? Is it crazy fast? No, obviously. I know what the bike is, but it is more than fast enough to have fun on, more than fast enough to get you into trouble, more than fast enough to keep you happy. It's definitely not a 250 or some other boring bike. It is definitely a fun bike to ride. So with that being said, do I feel like I need a faster bike? I don't feel like I need one, but I do want one. So I am looking at picking up a second bike, but keep in mind I am getting a second bike, not replacing this bike, right? And so with that being said, I'm not replacing this bike, I'm just picking up a second one. And so that kind of tells you the reality of it, right? Is I don't need to replace it. It's more than fast enough. I've been every scenario you can think of, right? I've done commuting and traffic. I've done, open road like this where there's no other cars around. I've done, freeway riding. I've done all the different things, and this bike has done just fine. I will say for freeway riding, I would not recommend it for long periods of time. But that has nothing to do with performance. It has to do with the fact that this bike is a naked, and the wind can get quite powerful when you're out here in Texas. Most freeways are like 70 miles an hour. So if you're doing 70, 75, man, you really feel that wind. It starts to really get you tired after a while, right? So I would say it's not necessarily a bike that I would use for long touring, but that's really more about the bike style and not anything wrong with the bike. So from a performance standpoint, it's got more than enough power to keep me happy in town on the highway. I always feel like I have enough power to pass, enough power to really accelerate and have fun. Obviously, like any bike, you got to make sure you're in the right gear to get all the power that you want to use. But really with this bike, if you go between like 6,000 and about 8,000 RPM, I mean, it's there's plenty of it. So if you're the kind of person who's looking at this bike and debating, hey, I'm just starting out, but I don't want to get a 250 and have it be boring in like 6 months, this is definitely the bike for you. It's way more powerful than a 250. In fact, it has about double the power that my first 250 had. And like I said, no issues as far as any situation that I've put it in. I've always felt like I had enough power. Now, power isn't everything, right? So let's talk about everything else. The brakes, I said it in the first video and nothing's changed. They're more than adequate. They feel really good. I've been on a couple of different bikes where the brakes are way too jumpy. The initial bite is way too strong. On this bike, it's very progressive, very linear. In my opinion, very easy for... we got a super slow van here. That's great, dude. Come on, my guy. Figure it out. We're not even doing 30, my guy. Very easy to figure out. There's no issues as far as it being too much to handle for a new rider. There's no issues as far as, you know, you're gonna, you know, jump over the handlebars or whatever. You know, there's just no issues. The brakes work well enough to be good performance brakes, but again, they're linear, even for a new rider to learn on. Suspension wise, you know, depends on what you're trying to do with it. I've heard some complaints about it not being the world's best suspension. For what I'm doing, just riding around having fun, I've noticed no issues. You know, I'm at about 210 pounds or so, and I feel like it's not a problem for me. I haven't had any issues where like, what is this guy doing? See, it's stuff like this, man, just ruins your ride. You got the guy just sitting there not knowing what he's doing, and I'm not up for it. Anyway, so yeah, about 210 pounds, and no issues with performance of the suspension. And pretty much everything else about the bike is good. Like I talked about in a couple of videos already, the power to weight ratio, in my opinion, is perfect. Bike is, you know, only 350, so it's not too heavy to throw around, not too heavy to get tired on. Especially good in you know, middle of the city situations, commuting, where you have to do a lot of sharp maneuvers. This bike can do it well. So if you find yourself in a situation where you're a city commuter, great bike. If you are a backcountry road, kind of like this rider, still a great bike. I've really got no complaints. If you're a hoon and you want to get out there and get crazy, you want to do some hooning around, might not be the best bike for you. You might want to look at something that's a little bit more wheelie prone or a little bit more powerful, I guess. But again, you know what you signed up for. So anyway, so what I'm saying is, if you are a beginner rider, and even if you are an intermediate rider, I think this bike will be more than good enough for you. I think you'll be happy. And honestly, for the price point, I'm not entirely sure that there's anything better out there for the price point. From a reliability standpoint, from a feature standpoint, from a component standpoint, I think this bike might be one of the best bang for your buck bikes when it comes to, you know, what's available under that, say, $6,000 to $7,000 price point. The other thing about this bike that I really like is not this bike, but its counterpart. So most bikes, you know, you've got the one bike and that's it. With the Vitpilen, there's also the Husqvarna. So if you're more of a dual purpose rider, if you like to get off-road a little bit, if that's more your style, the Smart is a great option because it has all the same features, all the same abilities, but it's a little bit more off-road happy. So it's something to think about, right? It's something to think about. It's a good alternative, but still you get all the same benefits of the Vit. Anyway, with that being said, yes, I recommend it. I've got no issues with it. So far, it's been reliable. Granted, I've only done about 1,200 miles. Well, I haven't done it. I've done 500. There's been 1,200 put on the bike, and reliability has been, you know, no issues at all. So yeah, if you're thinking about it for a first bike, if you're thinking about it for a second, maybe even third bike, I recommend it. I don't see anything wrong with it. Now, the last bit I want to talk about is the looks of the bike, right? I think it looks great. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but the thing that I hear most complaints about are really the things that I identified in my 5 things I don't like video. If you haven't seen that video, go ahead and click up here and watch it, but all those things are cosmetic and they're fixable, and matter of fact, I'm working on all of them right now, so you guys will see that in the next, you know, couple of weeks. But you know, I think once you fix those few things, really it's hard to complain about this bike, like, at all. There's really not much to complain about, right? So again, Do I recommend it? Yes. Do I think it's a great beginner bike? Yes. Do I think it's a great intermediate bike? Yes. Again, like I mentioned, I am looking at a second bike, which you guys will hopefully see in the next 6 months. It is going to be something bigger and more powerful, but that is simply because I've been drooling over this bike for a long, long time. Not because I feel like this bike is inadequate and I need to get rid of it. And again, there's a long series of videos coming for the Vitpilen 401. Got some great mods on the way, got some great you know, changes as far as graphics, as far as performance, as far as overall looks. Just a lot of fun stuff coming up, so I'm excited for that. And then outside of that, there's going to be a lot more gear videos coming up too. So I've got some jackets to review, I've got some helmets to review, you know, gloves, pants, all shoes, everything. There's a whole lot of stuff coming up, so hopefully you guys are keeping an eye out for that. I think I lost my neighbor, I gotta slow down a little bit. It's always interesting too when you ride with somebody for the first time, because you're not sure like what the expectation is. Like, do they want to ride side by side? Do they want to ride behind you? You know, like you just kind of don't want to assume, but you also don't want to leave somebody in the dust. Not that I can leave him in the dust, his bike is way bigger than mine and he could smoke me in a heartbeat. But yeah, you know what I mean, like you're trying to figure out like, hey, what's the ride here. I think the other issue too is obviously I'm moto vlogging, so I'm not really communicating that effectively with him as far as what are we doing. I'm just kind of doing my video, so obviously on the way back we'll have a little bit more communication. But anyway, shout out to my neighbor for coming out though. I think that's always sick, man. I think it's so cool how quickly you know, you can become cool with somebody because you both ride. I think that's a really cool thing about motorcycles. Doesn't take much to, you know, oh, there's a popo. It doesn't take much to get to know somebody because you've got that in common, and it's just, you know, you're good to go after that. Alright, so that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, hit the like button for me, and if you're not already subscribed, and I gotta say, there's quite a few of you out there who are watching the videos regularly, but you're not subscribed, so do me a solid, hit that subscribe button. If you guys don't know this, all of us YouTubers, it helps us out quite a bit. You know, the subscribe thing is quite a big part of it, so you know, do me a solid, hit that button for me, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace. Forgot to mention on a total side note, no, don't worry, I'm not gonna sing again. I know last video quite a few of you enjoyed it, and then quite a few of you were bleeding from the ears. What I forgot to mention was, if you guys haven't already done so, you know, check out my social medias, right? I got Twitter, I got Instagram, they're all at Fifth North. I'll post some behind the scenes content there from time to time. I'm not as active as maybe I should be, but you still get some occasional behind the scenes content, which is fun to see. And then the other thing too is hit up fiftnorth.com. If you guys are ever curious, you know, what camera gear I'm using, what my moto vlog setup is, you know, if you're into that kind of stuff, the audio, the video side of it, I've got all that on the website. I've got all my photography work on the website. I've got all my moto gear listed, all my car racing gear listed. So, you know, if you want a little bit more details as to what's going on, you know, and everything, Fifth North, just check it out, fiftnorth.com. It's all on there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's go enjoy some mileage. also say, you guys, I am definitely rust free at this point. I'm actually very happy with how little time it took. I was a little worried that, you know, it was going to take me a while to get back into it. I mean, it has been, like I said, about a decade. But I guess it's what they say. It's like riding a bike, no pun intended. It took me maybe 3 or 4 rides out to really feel, you know, back in the groove. You know, there were some initial issues like being a little twitchy, not being smooth with the clutch or the gear changes, but now I feel back to 100%, and that's why I felt confident in giving you guys the feedback on, you know, on this bike right now, is the 500 mile mark. It was enough miles on the bike for me to know the bike, but it was also enough miles for me to get comfortable and not feel that there was any bias based off of me not being comfortable yet, if that makes sense. So yeah, again, overall, I'm very pleased with the Vitpilen 401. And again, you know, bang for buck, it's hard to beat. Oh, that's a nice Corvette. It's hard to beat, and you know, definitely been enjoying my time on it. So yeah, if you guys are on the fence, if you're thinking about it, if you're looking at it, 2 thumbs all the way up, go for it. Like I said, you'll be hard pressed to find another bike in the price range that'll give you everything that this bike gives you, and that'll give you the fun too. I think, you know, a lot of other bikes, to me, they're going to be 250s in the price range, and again, 250s are great to learn on, but within, say, 6 months, you're going to be bored to tears. And as a person who's been there, I can't recommend that to you, and I wouldn't recommend that to you. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's go enjoy some mileage.